call this July 9th, 2025 Board of Education work session meeting to order. Yanni, can you take the roll?
Mrs. Biswell?
Here.
Mr. Griffin?
Here.
Mr. Miko?
Yes. Here.
Mrs. Stavchik?
Here.
Mrs. Hausum?
Here. All present. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time, we will be entering into executive session to consider the employment of a public employee. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Stavchik, second by Mr. Griffin.
Mrs. Stavchik?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Mrs. Biswell?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Mrs. Hausum?
Yes. Motion carries. We'll enter into executive session at approximately 6:20. We will resume public session at approximately 7 p.m. I'd like to call the meeting back to order at 7:15. Next on our agenda are our strategic priorities. Our district has developed and is currently engaged in a 3-year strategic plan which reflects the values, beliefs, and hopes of our students, staff, parents, and community. There are 4 strategic priorities to the plan: transforming teaching and learning, aligning staff and resources, cultivating culture and climate, and leveraging funding and facilities. Our strategic priorities give actionable focus to our district's purpose and mission and guide the work of our strategic plan. Next on the agenda, we do have agenda change. The following changes were made to the agenda: the removal of 5 action consent items under Section M, Student Services, Insight Behavioral Consulting. Next, I will turn it over to Dr. Ryba for recognitions.
Thank you, Mrs. Hausum. We do not have any OSBA student achievement recognitions for this meeting, so we are going to move on. We're very excited to recognize our middle school wrestling state meet qualifiers, and so I'm going to ask our athletic director, Jason Kepler, to come up and to start the recognition. How you like the sound of that, Jason?
Well, first, I'd just like to thank the board for the opportunity to recognize these boys and their hard work and their successes throughout the course of the year. I know it means a lot to the kids, it means a lot to their families, and we just can't be thankful enough for your time. Before we start talking about these kids and their state tournament run, I want to give everyone a brief outlook on, or overall view of the team and their success, and then talk about the coaches a little bit. So, looking at the wrestling team this year at the middle school, they had a historic run. They entered 6 or 7 tournaments. They won every single tournament, from their conference tournament to the Big 40 team tab tournament in Twinsburg, which they had never won before. These boys competed against the top teams in the area, and they rose to the occasion. So it was such a fun year to watch this team thrive, and it was fun because of all of their success, of course, but I think more importantly to that, it was fun seeing them harness all of their hard work into their success on the court. I worked in the community for a long time in athletics. I was privileged enough to watch some of these boys wrestle in the youth program from 2nd grade on up through middle school, and to see the amount of hard work they put in year after year after year to get to this point has been the most incredible thing to me. In athletics, we often say the one thing you can control and be the best at is your work ethic and how hard you work, and this entire team embodied that. And I think they all, the boys who are here tonight and all the boys that are at home, they should be very proud of their efforts. I know the whole community is very proud of you all, so congratulations. I'd also like to talk about the coaching staff. We have one coach member here tonight, Coach Kareem. And I just want to recognize them for their leadership and the work that they put into the season. Without your efforts, without your leadership, this team, although very successful, I feel like you got everything out of them. Being a wrestling coach is a huge time commitment, at least at the middle school level. It requires the most time. The season starts in October. It runs through March or April, and their week often looks like practice 5 days a week until 6:30, 7 p.m., and then they wake up at 6 a.m. for a 14-hour tournament on a Saturday. And they do that week after week after week. It takes a special kind of person to be a wrestling coach, and I'm very proud to say that we've got a lot of special dudes here that coach our team. So Coach Kareem, all the other coaches, volunteers, be proud because you did a great job this year. So at this point in time, I'm going to have Coach Kareem come up and talk about the boys and their incredible achievement in their state tournament run. So, Coach, come on up.
All right, to start off, we're going to talk about Jack Albert. Jack, do you want to come over here? All right, so I had the pleasure of coaching Jack's older brother, Dane. I got to know his family. He comes from a great family, great people. Jack comes to practice every day, works his tail off. He even goes to some other practices afterwards to get an additional workout in. He's one of the best wrestlers I've ever coached, to be perfectly honest with you. I've seen him take down kids that are bigger and stronger than him just because he's so technically sound. And, you know, if he keeps working hard and he realizes how talented he can be, he's going to be a force to reckon with in the years to come. So great job this season, Jack. Reed Harrison. So Reed started wrestling a little later than most of the other guys that have I've coached that have qualified for state. I believe you started when, 5th grade? Fifth grade, so that, you know, that is a late start for some kids. But any coach that he has ever had has told me, wait till this kid comes up. You're going to love him. He's the hardest working kid. He's the most respectful. And not to mention, I think your first year you were what, 8 pounds under the lowest weight class? Didn't stop him. It didn't bother him at all. He got after it. He still made it to the state tournament last year, even though he was a little undersized, and now he's a 2-time state qualifier. You know, great work, Reed. Great season. Joseph Greco. So I graduated with Joey's older brother, and then I coached his other older brother, and his other older brother, and his other older brother. There's a lot of Grecos. But like I've said about a lot of the other guys, he's a very talented kid. At the state tournament, I don't think he wrestled anybody that was truly better than him. I think he had a tough last match, which was hard to see. He made it all the way to the blood round, which is essentially win or go home. He wrestled his tail off. He lost by about a point. But, you know, I can't speak enough to how hard he works. And I know that he's told me how badly he wants this, how badly he wants to succeed. So we're going to see how much work you put in the off season, right? All right. Your freshman year, I know you're going to be successful. You just keep working hard. All right. Dylan Snow. So I first heard about Dylan Snow from Coach Lenny Trusnick. He called me. He goes, "Hey, Seabass, I got us a heavyweight. You're going to love this kid. Wait till you see him." And I think he forgot about 3 times that he already told me. But he just could not stop gushing about this kid. But up he comes to the middle school, works his tail off. Incredibly respectful kid. And you can't say this about a lot of kids, but he qualified for the state tournament his first year he ever wrestled. And that is impressive to do. Very impressive. Not to mention, I think you were wrestling up a little bit because your weight class is so large. He was right in the middle of it. So Very impressive first year. Excited to see what you're going to do in the future. Great job. Of course. And then the last kid we had was Austin Trusnick. He's not here today. He had a baseball tournament he had to go to. But I was talking to his dad, Jason, one day after practice. He was telling me just how hard Austin works. He told me, he's like, I don't even have to push him that hard. It's not a worry for me. He does it on his own. He gets an extra workout in. He monitors his own diet to make sure that he's on weight and in shape. And I don't think you can state that enough, because this is a middle school kid that we're talking about. And I know that he's on top of, he's just accountable for himself, which is something that we have preached the whole season. He had, I think, one of the most exciting matches I've ever seen at the state tournament. He knocked out the 2 seed. He had a clutch takedown to send the match into overtime, and then he rode the kin out to win. So if he keeps working as hard as he has been, he's going to be a force to reckon with the next few years in high school as well. Thank you, guys.
Way to go. So, congratulations. I'm proud of you. Congratulations, Sam. Thank you, Coach, so much. Congratulations.
Good job. Nice job. Congratulations. Nice job. Good job. Good job, Coach.
Thank you guys for being here on this summer night, and congratulations again. I can't wait to see what the future has in store for you guys. Turn it over to Mrs. Pelko now.
Sure. And I am going to turn it back over to Jason Kepler, our athletic director, to introduce one of our recommendations on the agenda tonight for a leadership team member, our new assistant athletic director. So Jason, I'll let you introduce Mr. Bartlett.
Sure. So before I introduce Mr. Bartlett to the group, I just want to talk about our process and some of the things that were important to us as we filled this role. So looking at the process, we received almost 70 applicants, and of those applicants, we interviewed 20 to 25 of them. Throughout the course of 3 rounds, we were in the interview room for 25, 30 hours. I don't even know at this point. It was so many hours. But it was important to us because we had such a wide range of applicants, from new college grads to people who worked in athletic offices in colleges to people who were also ADs at other high schools. So we wanted to get into the weeds, get to know these guys really well. And throughout the process, there were some things that were very important to us for this new person, and what we were looking for was somebody who could be a strong leader, to lead coaches, to lead kids, to lead our department, to do great things. This person also had to be growth-oriented. We feel strongly that we have a premier elite athletic department in Strongsville, but we always want to get better, and this next person has to embody that mindset because it's very important to our department. And a couple of last things we looked for was somebody who was very organized and somebody who was a grinder. Working in athletics, it's a lifestyle. There's times of the year where it can take over your life, and you have to have a strong passion for kids, for athletics, and you have to be willing to go out there and grind to be successful. So throughout the process, we went through interviews, and there was one candidate that emerged as possessing all of these things, and this candidate comes to us from, he's been a varsity basketball coach at 2 different schools. He's been, I think, a 17-year educator as well, and I couldn't be any more proud to introduce Mr. Brett Bartlett as our new assistant athletic director. So Brett, why don't you come on up?
I'm going to be short and sweet here because those interviews took enough out of me. So, but first off, I would just like to thank Jason and the entire administration here at Strongsville. I am extremely grateful, thankful, and excited for this position. I'm from Northeast Ohio. Recently moved back last year, and Northeast Ohio, Cuyahoga County, Lorain County is home to me. So again, just extremely excited, grateful, and ready to get to work. So thank you.
Well, welcome, Brett. I look forward to seeing what you have to do for us in the future, and welcome to the team. Right. Now's a great time if anyone has some summer activities and they want to leave. We can pause for a minute or two. Thank you. Next on the agenda is public comment. I don't have any green slips. All right, so we're good there. Okay, so we are going to move into item H, Board of Education Other. We're going to have a discussion about a sports dome. And I'm going to invite Adam Therian up to the podium. Thanks for being here, Adam. Adam has been part of our Elementary Facility Development Committee. He has also led the charge for Continue the Excellence for the past 6 years. Do I have that right? Since 2019.
Yeah.
And he has an idea that he would like to share with us. So I will turn it over to Adam.
Sure. So the idea came after sitting in the facilities meetings for so long and many days. And then the recap came that unanimously, for the most part, we kind of agreed as a team and as a committee that we would want to see a field house as part of the bond issue. With that being said, and working on the levies, I know that one of the things that kind of came across to me was ultimately, I don't know if the taxpayer will be willing to add a field house or want to vote for a field house. So the idea was, obviously, the elementary schools are the number one task at hand. So my daughter happened to be playing in a sports dome in Rossford near Toledo, and ultimately it kind of came to me and said, you know what, maybe this could be a viable option that's a little bit different than an ask. And what's the cost associated with it? So I kind of went down the line and got with the company who built multiple domes. The one closest to us is the Cleveland State. It's a removable dome that Cleveland State puts over their field every year, but it's the same company. Ultimately got pricing, some generic pricing, then we kind of dived into more of, okay, what would it cost as far as overall total project to have this thing up and running? And the cost that we're approximating is roughly about $5 million. Comparatively speaking to the ask of $15.3 million of a field house. So I think there's a value there, and I think after listening to a lot of the taxpayers and a lot of the voters in our city, to me it became apparent, how do we make kill two birds with one stone? How do we actually get something to our kids and not just athletics? Because the field house or a sports dome handles a lot of different aspects, not just athletics. Think about unified sports. Think about homecoming. Think about potentially having field days for elementary schools inside. There's so many more things, not paying for practice facilities outside our district. The option to potentially rent it out as income producing. There's a lot of things that can be done, and most importantly, it can be done fairly quickly. From start to finish of a sports dome, it takes roughly about 22 to 24 weeks. So with that being said, my thought process was, okay, let's look into it deeper. Let's present it to you folks to kind of take a seat. Does it make sense for us to raise the bar, to be different than every other community around us? We lose kids, not for academics. We lose them to parochial schools or private schools for athletics a lot of times. So this is another way to separate ourselves from those schools and ultimately save money and less taxpayer ask. And to me, that's the two biggest components of why I think this would make some sense. We have locations I think would make sense for us, as I've presented, that I think would also lessen the burden. Then you also have the opportunity potentially for sponsorships. I think one of the things is getting a master plan of our sports complex up at the high school. I think you have an avenue to add to the project and or pay for some of the project as well. So that's kind of it. You can ask me questions if you like. I know I've shared information with all of you up here tonight, but I think it's something that I would love to see happen, and I'd love to spearhead it and help in any way possible. But I just ask that you consider it because I think it is a viable option for our district and something that would ultimately separate ourselves.
Questions for Adam? Comments? I think you've talked to Denny and now Jason.
Yes.
Any comments or feedback from our athletic department?
So I don't want to put words in his voice back there, but ultimately I think there were some favorable conversations that we had due to the fact of the cost that we spend as a district to rent out facilities, especially in the springtime for spring sports. And we ultimately have non-conducive environments for spring sports. We have track running hallways instead of the ability to run into a track or a indoor facility of some sort, which causes injuries. Also, it's not conducive for, in my opinion, better athletes. And you get, unfortunately, less participation because not many kids want to run through a cafeteria for winter track. So I think favorable. Also, what could be done is the subsidizing some of it with the idea of sponsorships they were for, and also potentially renting it out if we ever wanted to as well. All right, we're good.
I'll just add, I talked before when we were looking for our new candidate for assistant athletic director. We wanted somebody to help us set us apart and continue to be great and premier. A project like this would help separate us from other athletic departments. At the same time, I also want to put all the projects on everyone's radar, and I feel like my own kid's coming to the board with my hands out and wanting more, but I would love to have something done with baseball and softball, and have something like this done. Both projects are important to the athletic department. So.
And Jason, are you referring to turfing the fields?
Yes. Yeah.
I know that's been a discussion for many years.
Right. Yeah.
When my husband was booster president, there was lots of talk of that.
Yeah.
So is there a master plan for our athletic facilities, or athletic, I'll just call it district at this point? So whether it's and then what's the sequencing of those projects? So 1 to 5 in terms of 1 to 10 in terms of priority of turfing the softball and baseball fields, and then discussion about flipping the stadium home and away.
Sure.
Seating so that we might have a nicer student athlete experience.
Sure.
On I think that's the south side, right, at the moment. And then the possibility of having this dome or field house on that south side field as opposed to the soccer field. So have you guys thought about that, or are you in the conversation about?
So it's funny that you bring up the master plan, because Cameron and I were talking about that just today. It is on our radar to put something like that together, and it's going to involve a lot of different stakeholders. And all the things will be discussed and prioritized. But at this point in time, we don't have one, but we're working on it.
Cameron, can I ask just a second?
Mm-hmm.
How long would it take to make that kind of, like, a year, 9 months, to make that kind of master plan?
No, I mean, when Jason and I talked, it's not a lengthy process to put together. One of the things, the ideas have been there, the knowns are there. It's just getting them down on paper, organizing them, talking to the stakeholder groups so we have everybody's voices heard, prioritizing, and then just getting the pricing is really the part that would take a little bit of time to get for that piece of it. But no, it's
So it's a smaller project,
yeah.
as opposed to
Yeah.
our other master plan.
right. Yeah, and we've already got the model. I mean, Steve has done this for years with the facility development group, so we've already got the model and the template and the process to use. We just have to plug athletics into it.
Thank you.
I would love to see a master plan, and along with the costs of, what we're paying for these other facilities for like spring sports, how significant those costs are, that if we could bring that in-house.
Yeah. I mean, really, the only one, Jason, that I know is Premier.
I think it's a cost to the district about $7,500 per year.
Okay.
Are we? I don't think we're paying anywhere else, are we?
Gymnastics.
Oh, yeah.
And then some of our teams do rent out Manta for off-season work.
Additional off-season
Yeah.
or something like that.
So is that all things that we could bring in-house potentially?
Yes, potentially.
We could do gymnastics?
That's what I want to know.
Yeah, gymnastics?
Reasonable?
I couldn't answer that right now. because there has to be some anchoring system for all the apparatuses and stuff. But I can't see why that couldn't be done. It just would require some further investigation.
Which is a great project to have a master plan with.
It'd be great if we can get an ice rink in there too.
Can you work on that, Adam?
And a Ferris wheel.
I can share one thing, so with the dome size, the original size that we are looking at that you guys saw is about 91,000 square feet, which is ideally a soccer field plus additional square footage for baseball, cages, softball, and so forth. You can actually play full lacrosse games and soccer OHSA games in this dome as well. Softball could actually be played in it as well. Baseball's, you can play it, but there are different rules when it comes to hitting for pop fouls and things like that. But you can get everything lined in this facility to play those multiple sports in there as well. So, adding a track is something that we did look into as well. A 200-meter track is a typical indoor track. You can get up to obviously 400 meters if you so choose, but it's not that costly to add a 200-meter track when it comes to the size of the dome. What the cost is to add the physical track, that's a little bit different, but size-wise, you can do it. There's quite a few of them in the country right now.
Playing devil's advocate, I'm just thinking of voters saying, you know, you can go to the rec center and there's a track there. You know what I mean? Like, just,
Yeah.
it's hard, it's been hard enough, obviously, for us to pass a levy or try to get a bond. In theory, it sounds amazing. It sounds awesome. When I first saw it, I was like, if only in a dream world we could, you know, and it's unfortunate that it feels that way. Like, if everything was perfect, we'd be able to do this. It's like stuck between a rock and a hard place of how much is too much, what's appropriate, what's important to people. You know, some people, sports is most important. Some people, arts are most important. Most, if not all, the education aspect is important of it. And I think especially last week we talked about when we were talking about the National Honor Societies and just that amount of money right there. And if we're not going to add on more stuff, how can we add on this? Like, I want to, but my heart and my brain are telling me different things.
So of course I'm biased, but this project to me touches the most kids because you also have the band. The band can practice inside for once. They're not practicing asphalt that's 110 degrees in the summer, right? So you hit that group. You can have classrooms, experiments. You can do so much more with a facility like this. And I get it, but I will tell you, standing in the polls for 15, 14 hours, and every time I heard people say, spend the money. I will support it when you spend the money.
Right.
And to me, this is being stewards with their tax dollar because we're not going to ask them for 15.3 additional dollars. We're now using it in-house and then getting something. There's one component of this that would be something I've thought about. You could is allowing seniors or any community members to walk it, use it as a walking for certain hours of the day that the school district isn't using it for. If it's early morning and that sort of thing, because the mall's starting to get less and less desirable for a lot of these folks. So that's something as well to give advantage to the taxpayer as far as them using it on their own. It is something that I know that they've done in other cities. Massillon has a field house, and they use that for youth sports.
You don't have to convince me.
I'm sorry?
You don't have to convince me.
No, I know.
get
I
the
just-
importance of it.
Hey, Jason, well, actually, let me ask the question in two parts. In a 100-mile radius, or maybe a 50-mile radius, what other schools have a dome/field house that is comparable to what we're considering today?
So there aren't many high schools that have a dome. I think the one you mentioned in Rossford is the closest, which is 2 hours away. Field houses, right here in Northeast Ohio, there's not a ton. I know Massillon has one, Jackson has one, Carrollton has one, which was way out in the sticks.
Independence,
Independent.
Independent.
Cloverleaf. They're with the
Sounds
rec, though,
Yeah,
it's kind of a
it's joint with
combined.
the city. And school-owned field houses, I'm not sure that there's any right here in Greater Cleveland.
So I'd be curious, what makes us, beyond our want, what makes this a priority? Why do we need this? Are we losing practice days and practice time? Are we providing a subpar athletic experience for our students? Why do we need this?
So I think we provide a great experience. It comes from a mindset of just always trying to be better, be the best, be cutting edge, state of the art. And it comes from that place. So we had mentioned that there's certain teams that have to rent their practice space, their off-season space. So this would help alleviate that issue where they can better use their fundraising dollars to fund other things that are cool for the kids that can help their experience. And then on top of that, we're in the middle of a bunch of parochial schools, and in terms of retaining our own athletes, we have lost quite a few to the parochial schools. And this would just be another thing that we can advocate that we excel and we're better. We have the best facilities in Northeast Ohio. Why would you not want to come and be a part of our athletic department?
We do have space constraints too. So for example, they're doing some movements next year, but wrestling has been an issue with having desirable space for wrestling. You know, if we're not going to premiere with that partnership we have with them, baseball, softball, when you take a look, especially spring sports is where there's a pinch point, if I'm correct, Jason?
Correct, yeah.
You know, if it's not ideal outside, you've got lacrosse, softball, baseball that are all looking for spots inside. We've talked about track already. So this would help address for winter, off-season training where you would definitely have the opportunity for that, but address some of the pinch points, especially for spring here as well.
From me not knowing these answers truly, I'm assuming that St. Ed's and St. Ignatius are probably the two that we lose the most athletes to. What do they do for these things? Do they have
They do.
dome?
So, well, St. Ignatius added one in 2023. It's about 50,000, I think it was 50,000 square feet or somewhere around that mark. It's tied to a new, it's all fitness center as well. It's just, I don't know, I guess southeast of their other school, but they do have one. I'm not sure about St. Ed's.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
And Walsh is building one. I forgot about Walsh. Walsh is building one. I think it's becoming more and more common for the private schools to have these facilities. Padua is in the process of building a new sports center now.
And this is part of the field house, is part of the yellow plan.
Two separate things.
Got it.
So the yellow plan is the elementary schools and the preschool and admin offices. The field house is a part of the other needs.
The other-
So right now, if you take a look at it, the yellow plan, I just pulled it up so I could be accurate here. The yellow plan, which is green on this slide for some reason, is $163 million. That's the May 2026 estimate. So as I've shared with the board, one of the things to consider is what do you view as the max ask that you feel that is responsible to ask the taxpayers? All of the other needs total about $30.6 million. So that 15.3 is in that mix. Now, as we've done this with the community town hall, the elementary facilities committee, you know, we've sent it out to the parents as well and community members. The top four that are always said we should include in the other needs are the field house, Packatan Stadium upgrades, the high school performing arts, and the high school softball, baseball, turf. So those other needs are in the mix. If you take a look at those other needs, it compounds decisions that the board has to give guidance on, right? All the things that you're asking about, the feasibility of it, the value that it adds, how is it a need versus a want or nice to have. The board, one of the decisions the board's going to have to make is with the 070 account and the $20 million and some change that's in there of, do you want to use that to defer the costs of the whole project? Do you want to use it to say, we're going to use that 20 million or portion of it for other needs, and that's not going to be an ask. Those are things that would have to be decided, but 163 is the estimate for taking care of the yellow plan.
Projects like this, and I apologize for not knowing this, can philanthropic dollars and sponsorship dollars support capital projects on campus?
So all of our turf projects, Packatan turf, middle school turf, were all 100%. The district funded a portion of that money, but the total cost of it was through the fundraising and donation efforts. The challenge with something like this, in terms of like a field house, you don't have the runway to figure out, hey, we're good with this if we get $8 million in donations, because, we've got to make decisions in about 2 months with what's going to be on the bond issue. Adam's proposal, is something that, in my recommendation of, when we've talked, as a district, baseball and softball have to happen. So if you are saying, hey, we want to go down the sports dome route, we're also saying, we need you to agree to, you're going to go down the baseball, softball field route as well. It's either an and or a do this, then that, with baseball, softball first. But with that, you have, although it's a chunk of change, you have opportunities to be able to say, we're not going to put this as a part of the bond project. You're going to have to decide for May 26th, we're not going to put the field house forward. We're going to go this route, and we're going to go the philanthropic route or look for partnerships with the city and things of that nature. And then we feel comfortable setting a benchmark. The district or Adam could write a check for whatever the balance is. Right? That's what we talked about.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
You have to call my wife about that.
I'm just teasing.
She's watching.
So
We don't need to call her.
That's right, you're right.
So that's the other part that we could do.
Is it wrong to assume that people would say, because we've got baseball and softball now, and they're working as they are, that this is just a want instead of a need, and that we should put them on things that are needed for, I'm just thinking about the schools. The schools are dilapidated and falling apart, and roofs and
I
everything.
guess what I would say to that is baseball and softball are the only two programs that lose 25% of their season every year because they can't make up enough games by the end of the season. I think when you look at that, and then you also look at the fact that our neighboring schools within a couple of years will all have turf, baseball and softball. North Royalton has it now. Berea has at least softball. I'm not sure about baseball. And then Brunswick with their new high school will have turf. So,
If our teams are traveling, would those traveling teams then come here if the game was going to be canceled somewhere else that they could
and
play?
that's been our past practice for home games where the away team might have turf. We've just gone out there.
Can I ask a clarity question about the difference between a field house and a dome? Because we haven't kind of gone down this path because we haven't decided whether we're going to do it or not, but all the field houses that I've been in prioritize basketball. Is that the same kind of vision we have? Because if that's the case, then the dome seems to meet more of our needs than something more along the ones that I've seen would do. So is there anyone that can speak to what the vision was with the field house?
So that's what.
Yeah, okay, so there it is. So that doesn't.
It could be whatever. It goes to what Adam said. It could be whatever you want it to be. But this was what the 15 million went towards based on the committee's discussion, which, as you said, prioritizes those indoor court-based sports.
Yeah, so this is a completely different discussion. We're talking about giving more space to the indoor sports that already have space, except for tennis, versus allowing indoor practices to take place for band, lacrosse, the wall sports, baseball, softball. These are two different discussions. And what I hear you saying today is this version meets more of our needs than that version does. So if we're just going to look at, at the practicality of this, like what do we actually need? We need the one that's going to prioritize the sports that don't have indoor practice spaces currently. That is the dome project, unless that could meet, but that's a lot smaller. 50,000 versus 90,000. That's a big difference. So I do wonder about that. Like, is that the decision we actually need to make versus do we want the dome? What needs are we trying to meet? I think that's the underlying question here.
that aren't already met
Correct.
somewhere else.
I've never found it to be a good practice to get into an arms race for facilities in athletics. But I do think having a master plan for the next 10 years would make a heck of a lot of sense and make it easier for us to make a decision. Because it's a great idea. Thanks for bringing it. But we need to, as a community, I think we need to really truly understand the next 5 to 10 years of our capital outlays, as well as maintaining the facilities that we already have at the highest standards. And then wrestle with the question Michelle, you just brought up, but also the stadium flip and what we want to do with that home, away, and locker room facilities, if that's still an idea. Because these could all work well together. I just want to see a full picture of what we're attempting to do.
Adam, in your mind, is there anything that that we're giving up as an opportunity with the field house?
So I come from the side of, I think you have enough indoor space in the district. And then by removing the teams that use that indoor space that really shouldn't be using it, you now added additional space to it. So for me, looking at the totality of the project, I look at it a number of ways: cost, how many kids it affects in the district, and then ultimately what can be the sponsorship side of it. I mean, you have, in a dome side, you have a 3-sided advertising billboard as well that minimally lasts 20 years. You can go longer. So I think there's some value there for companies, people, whoever it is in our district to do it. So other than the basketball courts, which you can put up as many basketball courts as you want underneath this roof as well, you could actually hit every single one of those things under the dome because you're getting a much larger space.
Is there anything in a dome that you can't do?
Not that I'm aware of.
Is there any heat or seasonal issue?
No, it's part of that cost is the heating and cooling of it with the backup generator and so forth as well. So there's nothing
So
there.
why aren't there more of them?
I think it's a newer concept. Most college programs now have domes because they've recognized the cost savings behind building an actual field house and that sort of thing. It limits them. But they're in a lot of high schools down south. I can tell you that, like in southern states, because of the heat. It gives them an indoor space to do it. IMG, which is if you're in athletics, you understand IMG. They just put 2 on recently. So it's just a matter of, I think, just getting used to it and understanding it. And then the seasonality of it. You can get one that just like CSU does. You can cover a field 8 months of the year, 6 months of the year if you so choose. The cost to that doesn't make, in my opinion, a whole lot of sense because the tear down and build up is quite a bit of money that I think would be a waste for the district.
And Jason, would you foresee the need for a new facilities person or people to manage this?
There would be people needed to, at a minimum, allow access. Because ultimately, it's a school facility, so it can't just be left open for anyone to come and go as they please. And so, at a minimum, there would be at least front desk workers or some type of access person that would be required. And then, pretty sure our maintenance department, who are all amazing, can handle the upkeep on all the equipment and all the stuff in there.
And this is a field turf, right?
Correct.
So it's a synthetic field. So is there a layer of, and then a track potentially, so then is there a layer of protection for the field turf when other activities are taking place we'd also have to buy? So for hard surfaces?
Like for our gym floor, for example, when there's something non-traditional out there that can create damage, there's layers that we can put down to protect it.
So one of the things in terms of the timeline, and I'll share, I just got it today or the other day, but the scope of the bond project is going to need to be officially voted on by the board in October. So that gives you the next handful of months to determine. The big decision is the field house going to be a part of the bond issue or not as we get some additional information. So, Mr. Griffin, you have some great questions, and you shared those questions with me earlier. So those are questions we can start to and kind of go through the the discussion tonight and start to answer those questions. And if there's things that come up to help guide you in making that decision, we can do that. But that will help guide what you guys want to put in the scope of the bond issue by October.
Is it a reasonable ask to have the base of a master plan for athletics done by October?
I don't think that's I don't have to do the work. I'm absolutely. Yeah. Jason just got hired in a new position. What else is he going to say? Absolutely. That sounds great, Cameron. No, I think what we could do is we can do an internal, here's what we know, here's what we can do. I have faith that Jason could do that because we've got a running list already. I think the one thing that we just have to say maybe not is, did we add SSO and the Hockey Association and the athletic boosters and all of these, the youth lacrosse group? Is there going to be enough time to truly engage with all of these community groups to have a fully vetted list? Probably not. But we can say internally, here's the punch list of stuff that's been on our radar for years. Here's how we would prioritize it. We could add that. Fair, Jason?
Yeah, that's fair. Actually added it to my DLP this morning.
There you go.
All right, so if you guys come up with more questions, let's compile all of our questions. Adam, thank you so much for all of your time.
Thank you for your time.
I will be in touch with more questions, I'm sure. And then, but yeah, if we could get all of our questions put together, everybody put some thought into it, and then we can share those with Cameron and Jason.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adam.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Good job. Thank you.
All right. Yanni, we'll turn it over to you for the treasurer's report. Again, thank you for being here with us tonight.
Thank you. There's just one item. It's to establish the petty cash. And upon the recommendation of the treasurer that the petty cash change funds and the attached exhibit be established. These funds are used to establish startup funds for the fiscal year 25-26 school year. And this is something we do every year, annual.
Any questions for Yanni? All right, thank you. All right, back over to you, Dr. Adam.
All right, thank you, Ms. Haslam. The first item is a recommendation that the board approves Great Lakes Biomedical to administer the student drug testing at a rate of $19 per test. That's the same rate that was this past year. The second item is a handbook, a revision to the leadership handbook. So what the revision is, we just met Brett, who was just hired. Brett, based on his degree status, is part of our leadership handbook, but because he has a teacher's license, he has to be a part of STRS. The leadership handbook, as it was currently written, only covers SERS. So the only change to the handbook that you just recently approved was, where applicable, adding a reference that it would pay STRS for people that hold a teaching license. So that's the only change, and that's my report unless there's any questions. All right, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Bruckner with his report.
Good evening, everyone. A couple items for business services tonight. The first is a discussion, which is actually a presentation of the annual report on the certification of standards governing types of food and beverages sold on school premises. It's just a shame everyone couldn't stay for this. So it's just, as it says, annual report to say we understand what the board policies are. We recognize those. We include those in all of our policies and all of our procedures. And this is just a reporting to confirm that. So the first one is Ohio SB 210. And this just says that we have to have this report. So by doing this, we're already in compliance with some of the reporting that's needed. The second one is a nutritional standard for food and beverages sold outside of school meals. This encapsulates that anything sold at the school is part of the health and wellness and meets all of the government standards. This also says that the board is able to adopt more stringent requirements, but, that's up to the local boards. And we are in compliance with that section of the revised code. The wellness policy compliance, if everyone is ever wondering why we don't allow people to sell food and drink up to a half hour before school or after school, that's this policy. Everything sold during that time has to be part of and meet the dietary restrictions required by the USDA. If it's not going to be compliant, which, is why we don't sell some of the fast food that I know students crave, because it doesn't go with the compliance policy. That's why that isn't a part of the food service program. Component number 2 is the sale and consumption. So before school and during school and 30 minutes after the regular school day, nothing can be sold that's not part of the food services department. That's why we don't have vendors come in right afterwards, or sports have enough leeway that we're in compliance with this as well. Component number 3 is vending and school store policy compliance. And this says at any point where we are having vending, selling during the school day outside of the time where the food service is able, or that they're required to be the sole source of food, that everything sold out of those vending machines that we installed, I believe it's 2 years ago now, is all compliant with the health and wellness standards that are set forth by the USDA for schools. And we have that documentation available as needed, so we are compliant there. Just a small encapsulation of the current environment in food services. We increased breakfast sales, which has been an area that we were targeting last year, over 3,700 meals, more than previous years. And also, a la carte items were up over $19,000 from the previous school year. So we are seeing progress in those areas in the school food service program. And we, of course, have a partnership with Chartwells. And Chartwells is committing that they will continue to monitor and tweak the menus and align with student tastes and preferences. And then also, we're always looking at replacing older equipment or equipment that's reaching the end of life. This year, one of the focuses has been the point of sale equipment. While the computers themselves are fine, the operating systems, with everything moving from Windows 10 to Windows 11, the components in the computers won't handle that. So we're looking at different options for the new point of sale systems that we're needing to get in order to run the software with the new Windows operating system. So that's going to be one of the focuses this year. And of course, at any point in time, an emergency could happen, and we're looking at fixing a refrigerator or fixing a freezer, but that's all part and parcel of having a food service program. And that is that presentation.
Any questions for Steve on that one?
Steve, do you have any indication of why breakfast increased by 3,700 meals? Was it something we did, or was it just organic?
Yeah, we were advertising it a lot more, and our cafeteria managers were giving out a lot more samples, which doesn't contribute to the money, but you give out a sample, the kids start to like it, and we started to see increased sales in those areas for those reasons, I believe. Sometimes the custodians weren't happy with the free samples of, not slushies, sorry. Pardon? Smoothies, thank you, so sorry. They may not have been happy with that, but the kids seemed to really enjoy them, and we did see some bonus sales because of that.
Anything about the a la carte?
Students love chips. And also, I know they were having a lot more of the parfaits sold, so there were some changes to some of the recipes that were done, and we saw some increased a la carte items, especially at the middle school, with some of those changes that were made.
Thank you.
All right, the next item is a discussion about GPS and tablets on the school buses. The board had asked if I would go ahead and start to pursue how much the investment it would be from the district. So I contacted vendors and vendors that we have, vendors that are preferred vendors through our Ohio Schools Council, and then also some vendors that may not fit into either of those categories but are starting to become popular around us, and more people are using their services. So just to put the framework on it, we already have GPSs on the bus. We already have cameras on the bus. We've been able to get those, fortunately, with your blessing over the past few years. This is the next phase. This is, from an outsider point of view, looking at the bus, this eliminates everybody holding the piece of paper proverbially when they're doing a substitute route, or a bus driver having to come back and get a piece of paper to figure out how to run that substitute route. What 90% of this is going to be is the turn-by-turn navigation that will be available to bus drivers, and the immediacy of that information onto the bus, rather than having to stop, pick up a piece of paper, or being told that morning what the route is going to be, running your route, and then hurrying while you're waiting for the next one to begin, and figuring out where you're supposed to go and what turns you're supposed to make, while picking up students and having, taking care of the behavior on the bus that may occur. So this will take care of that issue and help alleviate some of that issue. There are some other benefits. Things like student attendance can be added to this, where students would be able to be checked in on the bus proverbially, and then parents would be able to see if their students are on the bus or not just where the bus is stopping and where the bus is located. So there's more than just the turn-by-turn navigation. There are some components there of what we can do as far as, like I said, student attendance. There are even some alerts that can go out if there's a student that's missing. Of course, we do have the radio, but this could also be put out there as a redundancy for any kind of emergencies that happen. Those types of things. But the primary concern and problem that this is taken care of is that turn-by-turn navigation. And it's just the next step. So the three that I have presented here in the pros and the cons of each, the first one is TransFinder. So we already use TransFinder for our routing software. TransFinder does partner with another company by the name of Zonar. I'll take a step back. TransFinder actually does offer tablets themselves, but those tablets are quite expensive. And that option, as I read the quote, I didn't want to bring that. I didn't think that was a viable option for that expense. Plus, it took out the GPS. The thing I like about the GPS personally, and if I can speak for our amazing mechanics that we have here in the district, the GPS will also link up with their systems to say when a bus is having issues and what those issues are, so they can troubleshoot and start to even diagnose that bus while it's still off-site and it's coming in. Also, it allows the GPS, it hooks into the computer system on the buses so that parents can see when, or I can see when amber lights are going on, when doors are opening, when doors are closing, even something as simple as if that engine's idling too long. All of that's information that's available to us in leadership and to the mechanics with the GPS. So I do not want to go away from not having the GPSs on the bus. So going back to TransFinder with Zonar, the total price for the year, because of the hardware and the expense of the hardware, the first year investment is $166,037. A 3-year commitment will cost the district a little over $250,000, $273,000 and some change. Pro, it's all in one system. TransFinder is going to work with TransFinder the best. Also, there's no other cost for the hardware or software for the duration of the 3 years. The con is, as you'll see, the price is substantially higher. It is a 3-year deal in comparison with some of the other options. And we would have to go away from the Here Comes the Bus app and move to something called Stop Finder. And in full transparency, I don't think there would be there would be just the nuances of change, right? It's still going to be a parent app. However, we've been able to troubleshoot, and unless I don't think anybody on the board is hiding any comments from me, we have not had complaints like we did when we first had that and some of the bumpiness we had to go through. So to go to another system, we are taking that chance of having to repeat that again. The second one is Samsara. So their business plan is GPS only, and that's the 21,000 there. Now, it's great pricing. It works with any software. However, that's just the GPS. If you want to use tablets, they will, for a cost, they will work the bridge between TransFinder and whatever tablet that you want to buy. So we would have to purchase the tablets. So we'd be looking at purchasing somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 to 75 tablets ourselves. Now, they're saying they could work with any tablet, but the software gets loaded on that tablet. We also then need to provide the cellular network for those tablets. So they're able to facilitate, the price of their GPS is lower, but there are some concerns that I would have of now we own these tablets, and we have Samsara running the GPS, we have TransFinder that's running the routing software, and we have these tablets that we own. And if something goes wrong, I'm sure there would be great companies to work with because we work with TransFinder. We haven't worked with Samsara. But there would be a delay of, okay, whose problem is this? Is this the GPS isn't interfacing right, the bridge isn't working right, the routing software isn't being reported the right way, or has our tablet just reached the end of life and we need to start looking at some new tablets? So there are some pitfalls to that model. But again, the biggest pro on there is that great pricing on the GPS component. The one that we have now, CalAmp, formerly Synovia, and I'm sorry, let me backtrack. Samsara, that's a year-to-year cost. So there's nothing locked in. It's just every year that cost is there. It may increase, of course, like everything else increases, but it's starting off at such a low point compared to some of its competitors. The last one is CalAmp. The price is $47,000 and some change, which they have a 5-year contract that we're locked in on that price. So the district investment again is a little over a little under $236,000. The pro of this is that the GPS and the tablets are linked. We currently do run the Synovia program, so we have that bridge already with Synovia, with TransFinder. It is a 5-year fixed rate deal, and we do keep the same parent app that we have right now with this. The con is, at the beginning, we did have some customer support service issues that we had to navigate. We weren't getting calls back in a timely fashion, in my opinion. So we've been able to smooth that out. There's been some pretty frank and honest discussions with the vendor, and we have seen a vast difference in that. That we asked them to call, we're getting phone calls back straight away and getting those things resolved. So, so those issues have been resolved. The current pricing is that the tablet. Sorry, I need to get my glasses. I apologize. The tablet is $15 a month, and then that includes the cellular network and everything like that. Also, a plus with this is it's their tablet. So if that tablet gets broken, they replace that tablet. There's not going to be that back and forth or how much do we have to keep in stock and supply, to make sure that we have enough tablets for everybody. And then just for a frame of reference, the GPS was $30,500 last year. And again, that shows you why Synovia is even up on the board because of that price point on the GPS. So those are the three options. You can see the investment it's going to be for the district. And any questions or any comments from me?
So Steve, can you just refresh our memories? Like, the reason that I wanted to talk about this again was when we went from the mile to 1.25 miles for busing students, That was going to give us the ability to have 10 floating bus drivers. Is that Am I-
7.
7 floating
7,
bus
yeah.
drivers? So potentially 7 bus drivers could be coming in the mornings and not really knowing where they're going that day, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah, they are on call,
yeah,
so
yeah.
if we still had beepers, we would give them one.
So in my mind, and I know I had a few drivers that had that concern of a safety reason, you know, that you don't know your route, you don't know where you're going, and you're flipping through pieces of paper, trying to, you know, familiarize yourself with where you're going. Where with the tablet, it's like having Waze on your bus.
Correct. I mean, it's the difference of, and I'm, you know, I mean, I'm probably dating myself, but it's the difference of getting the trip tick from AAA
Right.
versus having the Garmin there. You know, it's just the technology has advanced to the point where if it's an investment that we wish as a district to make, I believe it is the next phase and the next iteration of where the technology on the buses are going.
Right.
Steve, is it accurate, based on what you just said with Synovia, with the current pricing? If the board says, hey, we don't want to do the tablets right now, we're still paying that $30,500 a year,
Right now, we are paying month to month.
month to month. So what's that monthly
Correct.
fee? Is that 30,000?
Yeah, I mean, they didn't increase it at all, they just split it and we just pay it every month. It's just not under any kind of agreement right now, not to go up at some point in time.
Right, but just if you take a look at the price tag at $236,000, that's a big price tag. But the GPS is going to be there no matter what. So if you back out the GPS, you're looking at about $17,000 additional a year. So
Correct.
is that accurate to say, even though that says $237,000 for the 5-year, the new ad would be 17,000 times 5, which is about $85,000?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, I see what you're, okay. And again, when we went from the mile to 1.25, it wasn't to save money, it's due to the fact that we can't find enough drivers.
Correct. Yeah, that was, we have a wise population of drivers that comes with experience and age. And, you know, we're seeing more drivers leaving than coming in. I mean, unfortunately, last year we had a driver who went out sick and passed away. And that wasn't a driver that was anticipated in the natural course of events to be a driver that we would have to replace. But those things are happening, and we are stretched to our limits with number of students that we were transporting versus number of drivers to transport them.
I just want to make a comment. For me, this has long been on my radar in conversations with some bus drivers, and for me, it has been and still is a safety issue. And we often talk about how we can improve our safety, making sure we're talking with the police and the fire department and how we're going to keep our buildings safe. And I don't think we often enough talk about the bus safety. I think this is huge. I don't think there's, how many of us in this room? 12? I don't think a single one of us drives with paper anymore. We all drive in our daily lives with a digital navigator. I think it's well past due that we allowed our bus drivers access to that technology, and especially given the number of studies that are out there right now about what distracted driving can be. And the reality is, and I've seen them, I've driven by, you know, a bus in Strongsville where the person is flipping through paper. It's the reality of what they have to do if they're filling in a route. The data is there that supports that we need these. And given Cameron's analysis of the numbers, it's an increase for sure. But it's not as sizable as that original number makes it look. I have been and still am fully supportive of this.
I agree. I mean, that's why I brought it back up. It's safety for me. And I think it'll give some of our drivers peace of mind, knowing that if they are going to be a floater, that they'll have this tool to help them.
Steve, do you think there's any possibility that, because I know most of the districts around here have this, is that fair to say?
I would say numerous. I don't want to get caught with most.
Sure, okay.
I'm not running
numerous.
for office or anything, but I hesitate with most.
Fair enough. Do you think that, joining the ranks of people who have the latest technology would in fact attract new bus drivers, or do we think that we've already tapped out everything we can with that?
What I would say is, I don't know if it would attract any for that sole reason, but it definitely would give us credence that we're a district that is doing our utmost in technology and safety for the benefit of our drivers.
So perhaps it wouldn't eliminate us.
Correct. I mean, I think the biggest attractor is always, and I know, we've negotiated, but is always that contract and those benefits and those salaries. So I don't ever want to, be hyperbolic and say that that's somehow going to make somebody's difference. But it definitely will go a long way to say that we're making the investments necessary for drivers to be safe. I don't think there would be any doubt in making that statement.
Thank you.
Is it something that if we come to consensus to move forward, that it can be done before the school year, for this school year?
I have to talk to the vendors. They were, when that, and if that's what the board chooses to move forward with, I would just make sure I have all these quotes nailed down, so to speak, and move forward. I don't know if I could have it all ready by August, but I know it would not be, I would venture to say by September, and when we have the new bus routes, I think we could implement this and get that out there, which is actually more beneficial, because then we would be loading onto the tablets the new routes that are established and not the old routes that are going to become obsolete within a month of the school year starting.
Are there any, thank you for this really nice presentation. Are there any cost savings relative to insurance and liability?
Not that I've seen, but I also, to be fair, haven't talked to our underwriters to see if that's a possibility. I can definitely do that and get back to you.
Steve, as you take a look, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm supportive of moving forward. I just want to understand this data better, because I don't think I don't think I have a good understanding of the costs, because on the one hand, the TransFinder seems expensive, but I'm assuming we're already paying something for their routing software.
This is completely separate. This is in addition to what we're paying for the routing software. This is on top of, not including.
This is GPS and tablets.
So we have no tablets.
Correct.
And there's $15 per tablet per month in the Synovia.
Correct.
And that is in addition to the licensing cost that you listed at $47,000?
The licensing cost for, yeah, that's all included. No.
That includes the
The
75
$47,000 for
tablets?
Synovia is GPS, tablets, cellular network, everything. All in one.
Is the $15 per tablet per month included in that fee?
In 47,000? Yes,
As is the 30,000
correct.
GPS fee. Those are both included. Whereas with the TransFinder, we have another fee on top of it that you didn't list here.
Correct. We purchased their routing software, which is completely separate from this
And
agreement.
we would still need that software?
Oh, yeah, correct.
Oh.
The vast difference, if I may, read a little bit, the vast difference is TransFinder has their tablet that they want to sell, and that tablet is locked down. So it's their hardware, it's their expense, and they kind of call the shots with it. That's why it's more expensive than the Synovia one.
But Synovia has their tablet.
They do. I would say you're talking about the difference between an iPad and a Galaxy tablet.
Yeah, I think it behooves us to just drill down on that.
That's fine.
If there's better, I'm happy to pay less. I'm really happy when we pay less. But I also want to make sure that we're not thinking we're paying less for
Sure.
the same thing. if there is some benefit to the app from a parent perspective or from an operations perspective. You know, I would just want to make sure we drill down on those details and make
Yep.
sure we're not, you know,
And
buying a Apple, I'm not going to work on it anymore, but I want to make sure I want to make sure we're comparing features, right?
Correct.
And that we're understanding if there is a difference, or if it's just TransFinder thinks they can get that money and bully for them, we'll go with Synovia.
And that was my plan, was to come to you with the high-level overview, to say, here's what the initial, if you wish for me to pursue it more, that's where my job comes in, where I start to work with these vendors to say, okay, is this the best price you can be? Why would we pay that versus this? I've had cursory conversations, but if you wish for me to move forward and you're looking for a quote that comes before you, obviously then that's when that phase of my job kicks in of what's the best rate and what's the best deal I can get for the district.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Okay.
And the bus drivers know what they do, and they do their job very well, but I'd be curious whether they want audio or a screen or what have you. But we're talking about safety, and, you know, the thought of turn-by-turn navigation audio would seem to be more safe than looking at a tablet. But that goes back to my question about features.
Yep.
So I'm just trying to think in terms of our next meeting with the September kind of hope and guidance. You know, our next meeting is until to August 7th or 7th. What's that? Yeah. But so if we take a look at August 7th, you know, we could get in board updates, here's the different features, and we could even put both contract, I mean, we've got the two.
I can attach the quotes, I
Yeah.
can dig into it, give you the refined pros and cons. Yeah, that would
And then
not
we
be-
can even put them both on the agenda, and you could remove one if, depending on what the board discusses. So we'll work through that and get you everything you need. But your main question is, in my rough math, there's a $100,000 difference between both of those. Does the extra $100,000 get us more features that are beneficial for the safety and the well-being of the drivers and kids?
Correct.
Okay. We can do that.
All right, thank you very much for the discussion.
Thank you.
The next item is a transportation agreement that we have with Suburban Transportation Company for the upcoming school year. The fourth is the same type of agreement with the North Alliance Transit LLC for the upcoming school year. And the fifth is a company by the name of Tender Loving Care Transportation for the upcoming school year. All three of these are companies that we utilize when our drivers are not able to be utilized for transport, whether that be the distance to transport, the uniqueness of transporting some of these students because they have special needs, that have transportation needs that are above and beyond what we're able to accommodate on our vehicles. All of those reasons, those three companies are there for your consent. The Ohio Schools Council membership is also there as point number 6. A recommendation that we have an annual membership renewal for the safety program with the Ohio Schools Council for an amount not to exceed $2,766.08. The rental fees is point number 7. Be resolved upon the recommendation that the superintendent that the rental fees and indirect costs be approved as it appears in the exhibit. No changes to any of the fees themselves. A little bit of a change and a little bit of a bump for custodial costs that are found there. And then the last point, point number 8, is an action item. Be resolved for a recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Education accepts the quotes from Schiffler Equipment Sales for district furniture not to exceed $102,366.38. Schiffler Equipment Sales is a preferred partner of Ohio Schools Council, and this is consortium pricing, and the quotes are attached.
Do I have a motion? Second?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Stavcek, second by Mr. Griffin. Questions or comments? Steve, where are we buying furniture for?
So if you look at the exhibit, this is everything from Chapman Elementary, Moraski Elementary, Whitney Elementary, Sarar High School, and then also the district. This is everything from chairs and desks to new cafeteria tables, to some table parts to fix some old desks, some old cafeteria tables at Whitney. And then the cabinets are the cabinets you're starting to see pop up, hopefully, at every building. They're on wheels, which the custodians, of course, for the moments that they embrace me, they love it whenever it's summer cleaning and you can just wheel those cabinets out rather than having those cabinets waxed in place. So the reason it's on here is just the overall total exceeds what I can do in pieces and parts. So that's why it's there for you. But this is consortium pricing through Ohio Schools Council, so it's all been vetted, it's all secure, and there's no need by policy to have competitive pricing because this is the lowest pricing and accepted pricing from Ohio Schools Council.
Any other questions or comments? Yanni, can you take the roll?
Ms. Stavcek?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Mrs. Bissell?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Mrs. Hausum?
Yes. Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. And just as an FYI to the board, there's some corrections that are needed for the agreement with TLC. So I'm going to pull that from the agenda, and we'll come back, Steve, put it on the August 7th agenda. Okay. Moving on to student services, we do have two items for your consideration. The first is that the board enters into agreement with Maxim Healthcare Services that operates healthcare staffing and employs licensed healthcare personnel to provide personnel and supplemental nursing services. Under number 2 is that the board enters into a contract with the ESC of Northeast Ohio for admissions of students with visual, audiology, and or hearing impaired services for the 25-26 school year. Any questions for student services? Jenny, I'm going to have you do human resources so I can make that correction to the agenda, if you would, please.
Okay. Under Human Resources, we have the following recommendations. Under N1, we have abolishments for non-certificated staff. This is due to having to move some staff to Moraski, having the new MI unit there. So we're just transferring staff there. So you'll see recommendations for those coming up once we make those moves. 2 is the appointment for leadership staff. You met Brett earlier this evening for the assistant athletic director position. Under 3, appointment for non-certificated staff. 4, appointments for certificated supplemental contracts. 5, appointments for non-certificated supplemental contracts. Under 6, appointments for non-certificated athletic supplemental contracts. Under 7, we have a change in status for certificated full-time staff. Under 8, changes in status for non-certificated staff. 9, change in status for non-certificated athletic supplemental contracts. Under 10, we have a change in status for certificated for additional days. Under 11, we have our stipends for our instructional coaches. 12, we have volunteer chaperones. And finally, under 13, we have volunteer coaches.
Any questions for Jenny?
Perfect timing, because I was able to get it fixed there. Let me see here. With that, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Brings us to the adoption of the consent calendar. Action by the Board of Education and adoption of consent calendar at this point of the agenda means that all items appearing in this agenda denoted as type-action consent, which items constitute the consent calendar, are adopted by one single motion unless a member of the board or the superintendent requests that such items be removed from the consent calendar and voted upon separately. Do we have anything that needs to be removed? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Stavcek, second by Mrs. Bissell. Yanni, can you take the roll?
Ms. Stavcek?
Yes.
Mrs. Bissell?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Mr. Amico?
Yes.
Mrs. Hausen?
Yes. Motion passes. Next, we have the third reading of a policy, and this is new revised policy 5223. It's release time for religious instruction. Everyone has a copy of the original policy, and then as it was changed recently, the changes are in yellow. This is our last chance to go over this, as we do need to adopt this policy tonight. So are there any questions or comments?
Richard, can you speak to, it's in the bottom of the paragraph on the second page, where it says, in addition, the acknowledgement will include there?
Yes, so one of the things we've been grappling with the last couple of weeks is this release time for religious instruction is in the news quite a bit in Ohio, and our policy partners with Neola had these options, and various groups that are advocating for this released time for instruction have indicated that if the language that Neola suggests is adopted by school boards, they will sue. They are maintaining that the language is a add-on or more than the law requires, and addresses First Amendment issues, things like that. And so I recommended that we stick with the law for this policy. The practical nature of it is that it is going to come back to us again, according to Neola, for consideration. So by making it very conservative or straightforward, simple, it allows us to get it adopted, get it put in place so that we maintain compliance with the law, but at the same time recognize that we're going to be revisiting this soon. Practically speaking, I don't know how much this policy will affect anything in Strongsville. However, by law, we have to have such a policy. So I want to make sure that we are doing what we can to be respectful of different people's interests, but also protecting our students' education.
Dr. Rival, is this policy similar to our adjacent districts?
Everybody's done something a little bit differently. So what I would say, the one part that I would say that's different than what our adjacent districts are doing is what Mr. Miko suggested on page 1, which is crossing out the part that says the board deems all graded courses to be core curriculum. That's a common selection of our colleagues around. The other changes, I don't know about the change that he just made, that he just talked about, because we haven't had those discussions. The one about, that's on the last page, the very last one, which was about can kids bring stuff from the class or the experience back to the school? There's not been consistency in that one. So I would say the only one the change that he suggested that would put us outside of what other districts are doing would be that one.
So I understand the one about the things taken home, right? That was out, then we put it in, so we're suggesting taking that back out. So I understand that one. I understand the rationale behind not naming what exactly core curriculum is. I understand that. What I still don't understand is, because those were individual choices, right? But in this case, you crossed out half of one choice. Why? Like, what about that last
That is
part?
specifically what.
That is the line that they question.
That is, in the Attorney General Yost put out a letter to school board members that you have to work hard to find, but it was also sent to OASBO and BASA, et cetera. And in that, and again, all of these are suggestions. They don't have necessarily the force of law. But in that, he counseled that if the gist of your policy is to make things so restrictive, it won't, it won't pass legal muster. There needs to be a balance between the administration of the school district and parents who want to afford their children this possibility. And so the striking of the second paragraph was in response to the advocacy group, the legal group that was saying we will sue, because the law, as it stood when this was adopted, did not require that language about continuing to check and et cetera. The law did say you have to have the background checks, et cetera. But, and again, this is according to people who say they're lawyers that are saying this is what will happen or this is what we'll do. So it's only worth so much. But that's why I suggested striking that second paragraph. Again, I think there's more to come. So I think this is a reasonable conservative approach to allow us to get it adopted, to maintain compliance with state law, but not open us up as a target for anything.
Any other questions? Do we ready to move forward?
I suppose.
Do I have a motion to adopt the policy?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Stavcik, second by Mr. Griffin. Yanni, can you take the roll?
Ms. Stavcik,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Mrs. Bissell,
Yes.
Mr. Mikkel,
Yes.
Mrs. Hausum.
Yes. Motion carries. All right, Dr. Ryba, timely information?
All right, so just, maybe I linked the wrong document here. Give me 1 second. Yeah. Let me get the timely information slide. I linked.
I thought, I read that and I thought, oh, this is an interesting
Yeah.
kind of information, but I didn't know you were going to tell us about it.
Yeah, I'll
very
link this
thorough
one.
timely information.
I'm sure the
Do it again.
thousands of people at home are wondering what I linked, but it was something that I've already sent out. So it was a reminder. Just want to remind the community and our parents that they also have an opportunity to give feedback. And so as we talked about tonight with the Dome project and the field house, that recently we did have a community town hall meeting, and we had the Elementary Facilities Planning and Facilities Development Committee meeting in April to gather feedback about what should be on the May 2026 bond issue that will support elementary schools and preschool administrative offices. And if you're not a part of the email group, you can get the slides at that tiny URL that's there. So we would encourage everybody to be engaged, to be on the lookout. This is a huge decision for the future of our district that's going to last the next 30-plus years. And so it's very important that everybody has the opportunity to share their voice, because as this board has said multiple times, they are listening, they want your feedback. That feedback will guide that plan that needs to be decided upon by October. Right now, based on the community town hall in June, the committee group town hall in April, the prevailing overwhelming recommendation has been the yellow plan. The yellow plan is 4 elementary schools, 3 new K-5 schools with 700-ish students, and renovating and keeping Kinsner as a K-5 school with around 500 students, and then renovating Muraski to be for the preschool and the administrative offices. So that would put, again, the yellow plan would put a new building behind the current Sarar building, would put a new building behind the current Chapman building, We would vacate the Whitney building, keep the property, but vacate that building and build the school in that ward or zone of the district in the old Albion site. And then Muraski would be transitioned there. So that is, again, for people that are watching or listening, that is what the board is saying. Okay, this is our plan right now, because that's all the feedback we're getting is the yellow plan. We did have, so this is an opportunity. We have eliminated a variety of plans. There were originally 5 plans, 1 building, 2 building, 3, 4, and 5. Based on feedback, we said we're no longer going to have discussions about only 1 mega elementary school, 2 or 5, but we will have discussions about 3 and 4. 3 and 4 continues to be predominantly the prevailing recommendation. In terms of the other needs, we talked about this already today, but we've asked people to rank if they feel we should do these other needs, what should be the rank order. And these 4 consistently come at the top: the field house, the stadium upgrades, high school performing arts upgrades, and turfing the fields at high school baseball and softball fields. So we sent this out to all of the 1,000+ people in our community listserv, the 6,000+ emails in our parent listserv, and we have gotten 11 responses. So I will send out another update to that whole listserv again to continue to get their feedback because it's important that we hear from people. It's not just about providing the opportunity, but it's about getting the feedback so it can guide decision-making. So again, if you're in our email groups, we'll send that out. You'll get the links directly. If you're not in our email groups and watching, you could see the URL on the screen where you could provide that feedback. But again, just highly encourage, for those of you that are engaged and do this stuff, encourage your friends and neighbors to have a voice. Because based on this survey feedback, which will close at the end of the month, then in collaboration with Laura and the board, we will determine if there's any other community in-person town halls that we need to have. So that is the timely information for today, other than we are about a month away from the start of the school year, so those dates are there for your viewing pleasure. That's it for timely information.
All right, thank you. Next, we have meeting notifications. A regular Board of Education meeting work session will be held Thursday, August 7th, 2025 at 7 p.m. in the meeting room of the admin building, 18199 Cook Avenue. And after that, we will have a regular Board of Education meeting to be held Thursday, August 28th, 2025 at 7 p.m. in the meeting room of the admin building, 18199 Cook Avenue here in Strongsville, Ohio. Do we need to start one of those at 6:15? We have one, yep.
Yeah, we do, because we bumped it.
Oh, looks like it's canceled.
Sorry.
Yes, the
August
August.
7th.
Do you want to do the work session?
That's up to you
No, it doesn't matter.
Do we want to talk to the person
to
to see
see.
if
Yeah, we
there's a
can check.
conflict?
We'll check it
Yeah.
out. Luke.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. Next on the agenda is Board of Education Other. We have a resolution of intent to participate in the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission Expedited Local Partnership Program. Be it resolved that the Strongsville City Schools Board of Education approves the resolution of intent to participate in the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission Expedited Local Partnership Program as found in the exhibit. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Stavcik, second by Mrs. Bissell. Dr. Ryba, can you explain? I know you'll do a much better job than I will.
So this is a partnership that we've been in place with our other bond projects, and the board voted to enter into this agreement, which basically says we're going to work with the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission. We're going to follow their construction guidelines. We have the ability to take construction pieces that we want to locally fund and do our own unique thing to, but this will help us provide their resources, their expertise, their guidance, and there's also the opportunities for credits that we will all be gone by the time those credits get back. But basically, on bond projects, you can earn credits. We have credits from the dollars that the district can use towards future bond projects when our number is called based on the middle school project. But they have been great partners. in helping us to do all the right things for our construction projects. And this is the first step in signing the agreement that gives the OFCC the green light to start working with us and helping partner as we put the finishing touches on our bond project.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? All right, hearing none. Yanni, can you take the roll?
Yeah. Mrs. David?
Yes.
Mrs. Basel?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Mrs. Hausum?
Yes. Motion carries. Next, Board of Education, other miscellaneous. Do we have any miscellaneous to report?
Just want to remind everybody that July 23rd through the 26th is the 2025 Homecoming Festival. It is on the Commons. There will be carnival rides, games, food, entertainment, and more. There will be goldfish. That's entertainment. That is not food. The Midway will be open at 3 p.m. on Wednesday through Friday and noon on Saturday. Admission is free. All-day ride passes are $30, and individual ride tickets are also available. There'll be music in the evening, and the Homecoming Festival ends on Saturday with fireworks at 10 p.m. So it is an annual tradition that many of us look forward to, and I hope to see lots of people from the community at the Homecoming Festival.
You can choose to visit Mr. Miko and take a chance on winning a real fish, or you can come see me and pick up a plastic fish and be guaranteed to go home with a prize. I think I win.
I'm pretty sure we can guarantee goldfish.
Don't promise something you can't come through.
I can come through.
All right, next on the agenda is executive session. We do not have need for executive session tonight.
So what are we supposed to do?
You get to get up and go home now. All right. So I'd like to make a motion, or I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Stavcek, second by Mrs. Bissell. Yanni, can you take the roll?
Ms. Stavcek?
Yes.
Mrs. Basel?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Mrs. Hausum?
Yes. We will adjourn at 8:56. I want to wish everyone a good night.